Hello, okay. I think we're doing good today.
Welcome to the live. Lots of education tonight, and it's a good topic. It's borderline controversial.
Mostly just because there's not a lot of information out there on it. A lot of studies. There's not a lot of studies out there, but it's actually becoming way more mainstream.
Yes.
We're so happy to see you, Emily.
So what we're going to talk about today.
Husband, we hear that she may have pulled you into this one, so
we're
welcome.
Hoping you're here. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. So we're going to talk about placenta encapsulation. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, let's talk about them.
Yeah, put them in the
comments. We are not experts at it.
Yeah.
We don't do placenta encapsulating. We don't perform.
That's not one of our services.
Yeah, it's not something we do as a service.
Hi,
but
Becca.
We, anyway, but she has.
I have had my placenta encapsulated. It was kind of, when Alina was having her babies, that wasn't a thing.
No, it was like I didn't even. Yeah. Anyway. Maybe if I had grown up in a more like earthy home.
Well, I don't know. Even then, I remember talking to one of my midwives, and she said, and this was again like 5 years ago or so, but she said that like 10 years before she had gone to a birth conference and they were talking about placenta encapsulation in Germany, and she was like, "Oh no, that's never gonna become a thing here."
Interesting.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
So that, and I think just like I don't think it would unless there were benefits.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't become a thing unless there was actually a reason why. So
Right.
We're going to go into the reasons. We're going to go into why you might consider it and what you might find. So
yes. So give us any questions. First thing, anyone here, have you encapsulated? Have you had
or just ingested? Because I have had some that didn't encapsulate but still ingested.
Yeah. So let us know if you have as we move on.
Okay. So breaking it down a little bit, you have to consider and understand that the second you get pregnant, your body starts producing a ton of hormones, a ton of nutrients, and your body is just pumping them. For 9 months, you have lots going on in your body. And then you deliver a baby. And then within like 30 minutes, you usually deliver the placenta that has provided the barrier of nutrients and all things like that, and then also provided the nutrients and the oxygen and all of the things that your baby has needed to live and survive for the last 9 months in this organ that is specifically grown for this baby and is birthed once this baby's out of your body. So as soon as that baby's out of your body tends to forget what it has been doing for the last 9 months. It doesn't have that placenta that is actually reminding, hey, we need this.
Yeah.
We've got to provide, because guess what? You may have experienced like morning sickness and wasn't able to eat very much. Well, guess what? It's your placenta that is actually communicating with the rest of your body that's like, hey, this baby needs calcium.
Yeah.
We're going to take it over here. Hey, this baby needs this. We're going to take it over here. And even though you're not actually like sustaining yourself as much, your body's figuring it out. And it's the placenta that's doing that communication with your body for your baby. So placenta is delivered and your body becomes actually almost depleted. And so what then happens is that did you know that we are the only land mammal that doesn't consume our placenta after the delivery?
Every land mammal consumes their placenta. So if
you
placenta is delivered, the baby's delivered, and it will eat it.
Yeah, the kitten, if you've ever watched cats have babies or dogs or anyone, you'll see that they actually consume their placenta. And so we are the only ones that don't. And
we don't know why, because we can't talk to the animal. But
there's speculations.
Yes.
There's a couple speculations. There's speculations that that it's to like clean up all the mess and make sure that no predators can smell anything, which is probably part of it. But then also we know that there's tons of rich nutrients and things.
Yes. Well, we know that there's tons of nutrients, and then also like domesticated animals still do it. So
yeah,
we're just like it only kind of makes sense that your body could utilize it has already taken from yourself and put into a structure So these are your nutrients from your body and your food. And so your body has just nicely packaged them up so that you could grow a human being. And then, I mean, it only makes sense that it would be fine to ingest it back in and replace everything that was depleted.
Yes.
So
he's drinking.
I know, maybe we shouldn't have started with land animals. We're going to get there. Stick with us. We're going to stick with us.
Okay, but if you think about, like, I mean, if you're squirming with blood, right, like blood transfusions would make you queasy anyway. So it's kind of similar concept. Like when you,
it's totally very similar to
when
that.
you are depleted in something and your body needs it, then we find it okay, right? Like a blood transfusion would be fine if you.
It's somebody else's blood. It's somebody else's nutrients, right? And we're putting it in. So I had a miscarriage 8 years ago, and I needed 2 pints of blood because I hemorrhaged and lost so much blood. And I cannot tell you the night and day difference I felt
between your own blood.
Yes. Well, I just didn't have enough, and then
interesting.
And then being able to get some more blood, it helped my mood. It helped my fatigue. It helped. Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. We haven't even talked about that.
No,
that is
we're just talking about it right
now. In fact, do you want to read what all the?
That's an interesting thought. So, sorry, Becca just said, but it seems like your body would keep it and absorb it if you need it. That is an interesting thought. Maybe.
So the interesting thing about the placenta is it's like, it depends on how big it is, depending on your baby at term. And so, but it is specifically grown for your baby. So I don't know if it's just like considered that, like,
it is connected to your baby too.
Yeah.
So, and guess what else? This might answer your question. When they did a, dissection of placenta, there are only, most of the cell structure of the placenta is the egg, from your follicle egg. So they match up. So the cell structure of the placenta matches up. The nutrients are your nutrients, but the formation of the placenta is the baby's.
That's interesting.
It's an organ made from the baby's. So it's
technically the baby's organ.
It's
but
technically
your nutrients and
your nutrients.
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, does that make it any better? I don't know, but that's the case. So
interestingly, researchers have measured some of the substances in a full-term placenta, and they have found the following. So bear with me, some of the words there's a lot of them. There's iron, selenium, vitamins, including riboflavin, thiamine, and peroxidine. Wait,
you don't know.
I don't know.
Pyridoxine.
Fatty acids, AA and DHA. Oxytocin, progesterone, human placental lactogen, relaxin, inhibin, and activin, beta endorphin and beta lipotrophin, calcium, copper, zinc, placental opioid enhancing factor, and blood clotting particles such as fibrinogen and thrombocytic fractions. Did you know all of that?
There's a lot of things in the placenta. And so actually some of these make sense when you know that so if you're looking at a placenta as if it's like a supplement, like a multivitamin, when you're looking at it like that and seeing all the vitamins in here, actually all of the vitamins and minerals in here make sense to why people get the benefits that they say they do from the placenta, from ingesting placenta.
So some of the few benefits are that it curbs postpartum depression, replenishes lost nutrients, increase in milk production, increase in energy and combats fatigue, stops or lessens postpartum bleeding, provides natural iron supplementation, helps contract the uterus back to normal size after birth, and it increases in CRH, a stress-reducing hormone. So, kind of amazing.
Did you get all that?
There's a lot of that.
So so I found a small study that was done, and where did it go? So because there's actually not very many studies that have been done on mostly it's just what people have reported. They have
benefited from.
Yes.
Which I have to say, do you have
do you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
So the main ones in this small study was that 40% of women saw improvement in their mood, 26% reported more energy, less fatigue, maybe not even more energy, but they didn't feel as deeply tired. 15% said breastfeeding had gotten better, and so their milk supply, and 7% reported less vaginal bleeding and discharge. So those are kind of your main,
the main ones.
Yeah.
So there's a question, would you be able to take a similar man-made vitamin that had these already in them? I mean, technically yes, but everything that you're going to take that's man-made is synthetic. Mm-hmm. And so it typically will mimic what your body has, but it will, so you could have great results.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's your, yeah, you could have great results. I think that's what's cool, is that is always an option.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We just find that there's a lot of like, around placenta encapsulation, which is totally fine because it is kind of but, at the same time, if you are somebody that deals with postpartum depression, anxiety, psychosis, anything like that,
it's
as
something to consider.
As someone that has, I would do anything to be able to feel like I had my life a little bit more, my hormones a little bit more put together. So we want to make sure that all the information is out there.
Yeah, and more than anything, you can choose.
Yeah.
Like, by all means, if like, Becca, I love that you're questioning, like, why wouldn't our body absorb it? And so if it doesn't make sense to you, don't do it. Like, it's totally up to you.
Well, and it could even, I mean, if we're talking placebo effect, because you guys know all about placebo effect.
Our minds are powerful things.
Our mind can make us better, even though the thing we're taking won't make us better. So sometimes there has to be a level of belief or understanding in order to really make something work for us. And that's what the cool thing about our mind is.
So let me tell you my story. I'm gonna maybe read the comments because there's a lot coming in, but I wanted to tell you. Okay, so I am gonna tell you this. So in the olden days, and I think there's probably still some midwives that do it, but I'm gonna read you this. For third stage hemorrhage, so hemorrhaging is kind of a big concern, right, for people, for women in childbirth. Putting a bit of the membrane in the mother's mouth or having her suck on. Okay, Emily, you might want your husband to turn off his ears for a minute because this is pretty intense. But having her suck on the cord are recommended. Postpartum hemorrhage has been controlled by using a small quarter-sized piece of placenta. So essentially, in the olden days, if a mom was hemorrhaging, they'd snip off a quarter-sized piece of the placenta and have her put it in her cheek, and her bleeding would stop. So it's amazing.
Tool.
It was a tool. It was something they figured out. And because there is the hormones such as oxytocin and blood clotting factors such as fibrogen are absorbed through the mucous membranes to facilitate the clamping down of the uterus, which helps stop blood flow. When using placenta to curb hemorrhage, it is important to ensure that the placenta is intact before removing a piece. Quickly inspect the placenta or take a picture of it before cutting the piece off to make sure that no pieces of the placenta are left inside. So here's the deal. I haven't ever really dealt with severe postpartum depression. Like, I've had baby blues, but it's never been something that I've luckily had to deal with. However, with my first baby, I bled for 12 weeks, and I did not know that that was not normal. I thought that that was just like, oh yeah, I had 9 months of not bleeding, so this makes sense that I'd bleed for 9 more? I don't know. So I bled for 12 weeks, and then after I realized, and through talking with people, I realized, actually that's too much.
Yeah, that's
too much
normal.
bleeding. So so with my second baby, I decided to encapsulate because I heard that it helps with postpartum bleeding. With my second baby, I had her the very end of December, and it was a time that my husband was traveling a ton, and I get seasonal stuff anyway. When I don't see the sun, I definitely am low energy, a lot more wanting to just stay in my bed, and so essentially that's
seasonal, already an issue. Then she just had a baby,
and then I just had a baby same time of year, and then my husband was leaving, and I had 2 kids that were really little, babies 2 and under. So I encapsulated my placenta and I only bled for 2 weeks, which was amazing to me because like that is not what I had experienced. I only bled for 2 weeks and I did really, really well. Like I did so much better having a brand new baby and my husband traveling when I was taking the placenta than than before I had had the babies, but like after I had stopped taking the placenta with like my husband traveling. I snapped at him a lot more when I wasn't taking him, and I felt just more even. Yeah. So that, and I didn't even realize it until it was after the fact. I thought like, oh yeah, I'm fine, this is fine. And then I stopped taking, or like I was done with taking my placenta, and then I realized, and I
how much better you felt.
I felt yeah, a ton better.
But I've also heard people that felt like they felt neutral about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Just know, I mean, it is one of those things that maybe is worth a try. And if you're
susceptible to something, and you're looking for some
relief or some support.
Yeah. Or something that might just be just another tool in your belt. Like it's an option. And the nice thing is there's a lot more people out there that are doing it, are encapsulating the placentas, and so they can, what typically happens.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So let's transition. So we've told you the benefits, we've told you a personal story. Now we're going to get into the nitty gritty of what is it? Like, what does that even mean? What is the process? Because to me, when I understand the process of it, I love the benefits, but when I understand what's going on, then I can make a more educated decision. It actually becomes way less gross. So let's talk about what is placenta encapsulation.
Okay, so placenta encapsulation is the encapsulation part. I do know.
So what that means is, let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
You deliver your baby, and the placenta comes out, and it's cleaned up your care provider will always inspect the placenta.
They always look at it. So if you want to check it out, you should. They don't typically will be like, hey, here's your placenta.
But it's super fascinating.
It is really, really cool, because guess what? On one side, it looks like a tree, like all the veins, and then like the stump is the cord. It's so cool.
Really beautiful.
So depending on how big your baby, you'll have like anywhere from 1 to 3 pounds of placenta. And then, so it comes out, and then it even has like the sac, they'll hold it up, the placenta's down here, the sac's around here, and your baby lived inside, right? So they inspect everything, make sure everything is contained and out, and then if you would like to encapsulate it, you definitely talk to your care provider and your hospital and whoever you're delivering with, so they know. Bring some Ziploc bags, like gallon-size freezer bags, and to put it in. And then if you have previously contracted with a placenta encapsulator, you would call them up and let them know you've had your baby, and they typically come to the hospital or wherever you're delivering and pick up your placenta. Or like our favorite one in Boise, they actually come to your house and process it at your house. In your space, they disinfect everything. And so then we'll talk about, just keep going, and then we'll talk about. They take it, and what they do is they're very strict in the labeling and the processing. It's all food grade and OSHA and like food handler permits, stainless steel. Like it's all very, very clean. Very clean. And they will clean it, and then they'll dehydrate it. So they kind of snip it up into pieces, put it in a dehydrator, and it doesn't, I think it goes to 160 degrees. 160 for 24 hours. For 24 full hours. So it kind of like shrinks it up, and then they makes powder. Grind it. And then, those little gel capsules that you have, like herbs and other oils, they'll fill each capsule, place it in, and then put them all together. You, depending again on the size of your placenta, anywhere from 100 to 200 capsules. Yeah, I've even heard like 80. Yeah, if you had a, depending on if you had a small baby, and maybe if it was a small like placenta premature or something. But that's just, so anyway, and now you have just a bottle of capsules, and you pop those guys and swig a drink of water, and so it's like 1 to 3 capsules a day. And so that, and then it's just like, take it with your prenatal, take it with your vitamin D, your calcium, whatever you're taking, like take it with it. Then it just becomes another one of your supplements, honestly. Yeah. And it is fine.
And then it's not gross. At least to me, it's not gross because I didn't process it. I didn't have to look at it. Like, it was just, it became just like a plant. Like, think about some of those herbs you take. Like, it had to be dehydrated, and that concentrates actually all the nutrients, and then it is a powder, and they put it in capsules, and you eat it, and your body readily absorbs that because it's a natural formed version of all of those awesome vitamins and minerals, and your body utilizes it just like anything else. So that is, sorry, we are really low.
We are
slow on
it wasn't
moving up. So anyway, that is what the process of encapsulation looks like. Something you just need to be aware of is the only risks that are involved with placenta encapsulation is when it is not done properly. So it's not dehydrated all the way, or it's not in a clean kitchen. So our suggestion is always, always, always to inspect or look into who's doing it and where they're doing it. So we love that Boise Birth Services in Idaho, in Boise area, they come to your home, and it never is cross-contaminated with anything else because they sanitize and do everything. And then we have, we love at Bloom Women's Center
in Utah, is who we recommend in Utah.
Yeah, she comes and picks it up, and she has a whole dedicated commercial grade kitchen
with individual kitchen setups for each individual placenta.
So, and it's all and it's just super well done, very sanitary, very all of that. So that would be the only thing, is just do a little bit of homework on who is doing
and
that.
There's again, we aren't professionals, and so the people who would know these are the placenta encapsulators, because I know that there's been questions on like, well, what if your placenta is calcified, or what if you have meconium in your delivery, your baby has pooped before. Like, I know for sure that you can still encapsulate if you have meconium, but there's a few other things that there's a lot of questions out there of like, okay, is this still okay to encapsulate? And you would just, if you had any of those come up, you'd want to talk to the encapsulator and make sure it's right.
That's a good question. Emily's asking the price. It typically so this is usually what you get. Again, every provider is different, but what we know from Boise Birth Services and our Utah friend is that they will pick up your placenta, process your placenta, and then they do some sort of art with they do a really cool keepsake with your umbilical cord and your placenta. They'll make you something, and it's super cool. So that usually ranges between $200
and then they deliver it within 48 hours.
Oh, and then they deliver it. Thank you. Yep, they'll deliver it to you.
And that is typically, between
$200 and $400 is
what we've kind of found.
What we've found.
And sometimes it's a little less. Sometimes it's in the $100 range, so $100 to $200 depending on who it is. But yeah, typically up to $400. So
that's a good question. I don't know the shelf life. That's a really good question.
If you want it, put it in your freezer.
Yeah.
If you're wanting it longer, like if you're not taking it immediately within the first month to 2 months, then put it in your freezer. It'll last a little longer. I'd say the potency probably goes down around the 6-month mark, but at the same time, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. We don't know. That would be a great question for your placenta encapsulator to ask that.
Yeah.
They would know that better than we do. But I know we're sounding all pro placenta encapsulation, and we are, because we're pro you taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And we're pro options. We just want you to know that if you struggle, if you've had a previous pregnancy and have struggled with vaginal bleeding and fatigue and
low iron
and mood disorders,
all the anxiety, psychosis,
it's now an option. Or you can throw some other things in your arsenal. There's always lots of things there's always options to not repeat something you had before?
Okay, that's a good question, Emily. Is there a credential that an encapsulator has to meet or pass? Is there a board or a test or a certificate given that helps us know if they're qualified? Yes. So
it is called,
because there are people out there that will just do it.
Yeah.
But
there's lots of doulas that will just do it. They used to be. I don't think so anymore.
Yeah, I think a lot of them actually
they now
certified.
Are more requiring. It's APPA. It's Association of Placenta Preparation Arts. So APPA is one of the certifications. I think
they have to go through like
several,
over 100 hours of whatever they do. So again, I haven't looked into that specifically, but and they'll typically be OSHA certified as well, if they have like, you know, the sanitary conditions and all that.
Yeah. Okay, so this is really good. I'm sorry, Zollygram, I'm not sure what your name is, but we had a strange experience. It made me and my baby gassy, made me extra weepy, etc. It was a yin-yang mismatch, hot, cold. Interesting. And her sister had a great experience with it. So there you go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you might have an adverse reaction.
Yeah.
So that is
which happens just like with everything. Every single body is different. And so I guess that's another thing. Be aware that it might not work exactly the way you want it to work.
And here's the deal. You can take it. You can, if you're not entirely sure if you want to or not, you can take the placenta home with you and put it in your freezer. Yeah. And keep it in your freezer for a little while. But if you want to decide how you're feeling, maybe you're feeling good and you're like, I'm good. I think I'll just plant a tree over this. Did you know that's another
beautiful
thing? That's another thing that people have used their placentas for.
They'll plant a tree, and then it's ritual. Like your baby tree.
And it's supposed to give a lot of nutrients to the tree.
Yeah.
So
I think that's awesome. So I love that option. I love that option. So if you're not sure, take it home, put it in your freezer, stick it there for a month and see, right? A month-ish? 3 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, the sooner the better for sure. I will say that's why they try to do it within the first 48 hours, process it within the first 48 hours, because it's the most dense in nutrients. So the longer you have it, it will become less potent. But at the same time, I mean, if you're feeling like you need some help, it probably is better than nothing. Just know that once your placenta is gone, I actually wanted to encapsulate with my first baby. Here's a funny story for you guys. I wanted to encapsulate with my first baby, and I had my baby at a birth center. We put the placenta in the freezer, and of the birth center, I had her on a Friday afternoon, and the office part of the birth center was closed all weekend. And so when I got home, after I got home, I had realized I don't have my placenta. I had kept calling, but they were closed all weekend, and I had just had a baby, so I didn't want to go back down there. And on Monday, when I finally got a hold of them, they were like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. The secretary, she was cleaning things out and she threw it away," and I lost it. I just started bawling, and my in-laws were in town and they were at my house, and I'm like I am sobbing, right? And my mother-in-law was like, "What happened? What is wrong? What clearly something is so sad." And my husband was like, "Oh, they threw away her placenta." He was like, yeah, they
do that.
That should happen. But
and I love it. We had a comment about a lady that she's living with her in-laws, and they might think it's a little weird to have a placenta in their freezer, which I can understand.
Okay, here's another story. Wait, you don't want me to tell more stories.
So we did have a question. You can also donate your placenta. I don't know that. I have no idea. So Krista, look into that for us. We have no idea if you can donate your placenta.
No,
is it? I don't know. Is it when you cord blood bank? Is that? I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what they do.
And you can still keep your baby or your placenta even if you cord blood bank. By the way,
you can do both. So I don't know.
I don't know about.
We'll have to look into that.
Donating it. I haven't ever thought of that.
That sounds awesome. If you could, how cool is that? So
here's my other story.
Oh, one more story.
You guys love it. Alina drives Alina nuts.
I'm quick and to the point.
Can you save blood cells for your baby? Right? People do this in case of like cancer and still encapsulate. Yep.
It's called cord blood banking. Yeah, definitely something you can do. You can do both.
And it's awesome. So I attended a birth where a lady was encapsulating, and she saved a little money if she took the placenta to her encapsulator. And I actually lived near her encapsulator. And so I left the birth about 2:00 in the morning, and she asked if I would just drop it off the next morning. Well, she had forgotten some Ziploc bags. And so I asked the nurse if they had any Ziploc bags, and the nurse came back and she's like, "This is all I have." And it was like a container for a stool sample. So we put the placenta in the stool sample, and then I got home at like 2:30 in the morning and was planning on going the next morning. And when my husband got up for work, I was like, "Hey, just so you know, there's a stool sample container in there. It's just her placenta. Don't get into it." Like, and he's like, "Who have I married?" So, you know, all the things.
Awesome. So, Emily, your husband's not the first one or the last one to question what is happening there, which is fine. That's the coolest part. Is again, options. It is what it is.
Look into it. Just know that there's not a ton of like studies out there. Fill it out. Like honestly, trust your gut. Trust your intuition. Meet with an encapsulator, ask them your questions, and then if you're still questioning it, just take your placenta home, and then you can always dispose of it later.
Yes. And another thing that I just want to say really quick is that some people will think about it, and then at the end, like after, they'll decide not to do it, and then they'll feel regret that they didn't do it. And that's usually when I say, maybe you should do it next time, because when you make a decision and then feel regretful about it, then you probably made the wrong decision. So you can do it next time.
You can do it next time.
For you, if you are like, "Oh yeah, who cares, whatever, move on," then
if you didn't miss it.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, when I had my first baby and I was so like devastated,
you knew you had to do it.
I knew I had to do it with my next one, and I did, and I was glad I did.
So again, and that's the cool part is, whether it happens or not, and whether you think it's disgusting or not, it's all about you. You get to choose. You get to decide. So thank you for being here with us. Thanks for all your awesome questions and comments and things that we didn't even think about.
Yeah.
So
we'll
way to go. We think you guys are the smartest, best.
We have
a lot
you guys
of questions.
Our things is not progressing, so we're not okay. This is an awesome concept. I've known I want to encapsulate ever since I'm prone to depression and things like that. I love this topic. Thank you. We always tell clients to keep their placenta for 6 months as an insurance for postpartum depression. I love that. If they aren't wanting to encapsulate right away.
Okay, so did you hear that?
For insurance. I love that.
Yeah, so you can keep your placenta for 6 months.
There you go.
Because postpartum depression can happen anytime.
It doesn't happen just immediately. No. Sometimes it happens months later.
Even a year later.
I could totally be wrong. Hey, I don't know. Maybe you can donate it. I don't know. You can donate it to science, whatever that means, but not to another human. Okay?
Thanks
that makes
for
sense.
Looking it up.
So, Emily, tell your husband he can't take any, okay? Of yours. Just kidding.
He's feeling weird.
Okay, we're laughing. Oh, good. Hey, it was a good story. My husband is questioning me watching this live. Just a stool sample placenta casserole dish in the freezer. You might want to take it for lunch. No big deal.
Oh, you guys are the best.
How do you dispose of it? Because it's medical waste. Yes, that's true.
Oh, good question.
So, you know those like red boxes? You'd probably they put blood, like medical waste things in. You'd probably want to take it to like a midwife or a clinic or something that has the medical waste.
Yeah, option. Take it to your care provider when you're done.
Yeah. If you decide not to.
Yeah, if you decide not to, that's true.
You
guys are so good.
You guys are smart. Honestly, the reason I am so interested is because I literally threw it away. It's a whole entire organ I grew, and it just went in the trash. Yes, it's true.
Oh, that's
a good point. I guess, what do you do with your appendix if you have it removed? You should probably keep it.
Grow a tree on it.
Thank you for all the helpful info. I actually first hear about this postpartum from your page a while back.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
And Amanda, you're going to be having a baby soon, so you might
think
about it. I need to do that. I got postpartum depression and already had issues.
Okay.
Oh, yes. So again,
next time, try it.
Another option. So
yes. Okay, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for being
here.
Ya. Keep asking questions. We love when you guys DM us with questions, because then we know things that we can help you with. But all of you that showed up, you guys are awesome.
You are awesome.
And what was our giveaway?
We talked about it. Okay, there's a couple things. So we wanted to, it's hard because we were like, oh, what if we could give away like a placenta encapsulation?
Yeah.
But there's too many of you that are like around the world that, if my dad can keep his knee gristle for his knee replacement, I could keep your entire organ. Yeah. And yours has nutrients in it.
I love it. You guys are hilarious.
I love it.
Yeah, so
Okay,
good.
so because we are decided not to do, well, we can't really do a placental encapsulation
Because we only know people in Utah and Idaho, and there's
so
lots
many
of
more people.
Yeah.
So what we are considering between is something that has to do with like a mood lifter.
Yeah.
So we will announce what it is exactly.
Because we're thinking of like an aromatherapy diffuser or one of those lights that like
light therapy. Have you seen
light
those?
therapy
like the
in the winter
that brighten.
brighten. So if you want to vote, get in there and vote. we'll take your votes into consideration.
We will.
But we just, while we can't give you placenta encapsulation, which is sad, but and I'm sure contact
anybody can do a mood lifter.
Yeah.
Right? Anyone that would help everyone.
Everyone.
So.
See, I'm seeing some light therapies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, we all need a mood lifter, especially
in January.
And especially after all the husbands that endured this.
Oh yeah.
Give
us a double vote if your husband was in at least in the room listening to this. I love it. Night and day difference. That is interesting with a light therapy. Autumn said she had one and it's awesome.
Cool.
So definitely.
I say let's do it. Okay, we're gonna do light therapy. We're gonna give away a light therapy. So anybody that's commented, remember you have to comment, watch the live, so within the 24 hours, and then be subscribed to our email list. That's in the link in our bio. It says subscribe to our email list.
Weekly educational emails.
You will be in the running for the giveaway.
Okay, I love it, you guys. You're wonderful.
Okay,
thank you. Have a wonderful night.
Good
Sleep
night.
tight. Oh, hello.
Okay, bye.